Wednesday night tradition here at SEC Media Days. Barrett Slee, I'm sure he's told you about karaoke at Gabriel Sports Cafe. Is there ever going to be a point where we see you in attendance? And if so, what song would you sing at that place?
Probably not, but if I did show up, we'd how about Heart of Rock and Roll by Huey Lewis and the News.
Okay.
There you go.
I gotcha. So
80s. Good old 80s stuff.
An oldie. So
man, that hurt. That's old. I'm like 50s and 60s. I was like, that's college time.
I'm 26, Commissioner Sankey, so it's a little different. Tommy, my co-host, is 45, so that's
next thing you know, Loverboy working for the weekend's going to be an oldie too.
You speak of college. It was funny. One of the interns was asking me as I was going up the elevator yesterday. I said, "Did you know Commissioner Sankey's degree?" And I said it was in education, because I remember the story. I want to say you told when it was on the Wins and Losses podcast with Clay Travis. You were like an intramural coordinator.
Yeah, that was my first job. Yeah,
and you had, I think there was like, not heat stroke, but you at one point were working probably the same hours you're working now, about 65, 70 hours a week, and you had an exhaustion or something. Take us back to that moment, what that was like, just transitioning from that.
Yeah, so I'll give you one piece of trivia. The last time the Milwaukee Bucks won the NBA championship, a guy named Larry Costello was their coach in the early 70s. Kareem played, Oscar Robertson. When I took the job at Utica in 87, Larry Costello had just finished up as the basketball coach at Utica College.
Wow.
And he had to come by every month to collect the check. And so I spent 2 years. I worked his basketball camps in the summer, and just got to sit and visit with Larry about coaching, Kareem and Oscar Robertson and playing in the NBA in the 60s. Just fascinating. So, neat piece of sports trivia. But the health issue was actually when I was at Northwestern. Actually, I was Southland Conference Commissioner. So it was Utica College, 87 to 89, and then I moved to Northwestern State University in Natchitoches, Louisiana. Made $500 a month as an intern. Didn't make headlines.
Yeah.
And here I am today.
Little different paycheck.
And so I was commissioner of the Southland Conference, and I traveled to Atlanta to go to Birmingham, and I passed out in the restroom. I had a irregular heartbeat, spent a night in the hospital, and just wasn't taking care of myself very well. Not sleeping, not exercising, and pretty important life lesson in my early 30s.
So obviously, at SEC Media Days, it seems like every year some major headline comes about during this week, and obviously conference expansion and Texas and Oklahoma seeking out membership into this league. I don't know how deep you'll go into it, but we obviously have to bring the question as to where this stands, and is there going to be more conversation as the next few weeks unfold with Texas and Oklahoma perhaps joining the Southeastern Conference?
I have and will continue to decline comment on the story and speculation, and I'm focused on what we're here to talk about, which is our 14 members, our progress into the 21 season, what's happening around college football, and we're heading into a year when Missouri and Texas A&M have their 10th season, and pretty remarkable things happening here on our own.
Fair enough. So with the name, image, likeness, now 3 weeks into that, what do you think the business model and how it's going to evolve moving forward? What's the business of college athletics look in the next 12 to 24 months in your forecast?
Yeah, that's a really broad question. And it is timely, obviously, because we've seen a number of things where you end up talking constantly about the business realities, the economic realities of college sports. So we've had an onset of different pieces of state legislation that allow name, image, and likeness activity on the part of individual student athletes. We've had a Supreme Court decision in Alston versus the NCAA that really says NCAA rules are subject to antitrust scrutiny, as would any other enterprise. And we've had other litigation. And so what it says from an adaptation is we're going to have to change. We're not going to have the ability to just go in committee rooms, make decisions in college athletics, and things goes forward as it always has. What that means short term is you have a lot of young people who for the first time are operating their own businesses. Now they may have others helping them do so, but their business is representing their name, image, and likeness for economic gain.
think we lost our connection for just a moment. Hopefully we regain that in just a minute. We're visiting with Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, who is joining us here on the Morning Rush. We're live on Radio Row. We're discussing some of the biggest news of the day, and obviously, as you heard him a moment ago, say he was not going to further comment on whether or not the Southeastern Conference is engaged in conversations with Texas and Oklahoma, as he said he wanted to continue his focus and his comments on the 14 member schools of the SEC. Hopefully, I'll go ahead and text Ty and let him know we lost our connection there. Hopefully we regain that connection. When you rely on the internet, sometimes things happen. But I think the business model and where we're headed with college athletics is obviously a very interesting conversation. I hope we can continue that here with the commissioner in just a few seconds.
Track and field. The success has been there. But how does it change if we change college sports? How does the Olympic development model change?
We're speaking with Commissioner Greg Sankey here on the Morning Rush. One of the smaller schools, like population-wise, in the SEC. There's a lot of Arkansas fans, especially after the schedule came out. Mark Womack last year, they're really frustrated with how it played out with Georgia and Florida. And they feel like in certain times that they get the short end of the stick from this league. What would your response be, Commissioner Sankey, to Razorback fans that feel like at times they're unfairly treated from the Southeastern Conference?
Our job is to be fair. And last year we had an emergency situation because of COVID where we had to go through rescheduling. And as we sat there last year, I had no idea what teams were going to be good. We have student athletes opting out on almost a daily basis. At halftime, Sam's team was playing great in that first game. Great building of momentum. Weren't victorious, but you saw the progress that was made. And our teams are going to be challenged regardless of the exact elements of the schedule. A tribute to the Arkansas program, won 9 different conference championships. You saw improvement in the football program. What Dave's team did in baseball, just hated the loss in the super regional, but they went through and accomplished something that's only been done, I think, once before, and that is win every weekend, win the conference tournament. Eric's team, Mike's team, you just seen this continuing elevation. And I don't look at schools as big or small. They're members of the SEC. And people have perceptions. And you know what? We had a tough officiating call in a game. And then people get mad about other officiating calls. But we work to try to be as fair as possible, and we'll take responsibility where people have concerns.
One other thing I've noticed, Commissioner, is that each and every coach all this week has credited you for the leadership you displayed this last season leading up to it. And I'm forgetting the LSU writer, but he asked you a question earlier this week, and you recounted the exact question he had last year at SEC Media Days. There were also a good contingency, and I don't know percentage-wise, but a good contingency of the media that didn't think we should have played football last year. You have a pretty good memory up there. Did you keep receipts of some of the media members that thought we shouldn't have played football last year?
I remember a few.
Okay.
I don't remember all. I remember really what was said, and there were some really unique things said, and it certainly didn't make the path any easier. But to the coaches' statements about me, I credit them, our athletics directors, our presidents and chancellors, our medical doctors. This was a conference truly coming together to make things happen. And if anything I did was to buy us time to make really good decisions. And ultimately we did. And I thought it was important to provide opportunity for young people to compete, which is what took place.
Commissioner, you had some pretty direct statements in your kind of state of the conference address to Open SEC Media Days about vaccination levels. 6 of the 14 teams have not reached have reached the threshold. You want to see that higher. Tell our audience what that means as far as the testing protocols, getting to that 85% within these programs, what that's going to allow them to opt out from a testing perspective, and why that's so important from your desk that all 14 football teams reach the thresholds for vaccination levels before the season begins.
I chose the 80% threshold to illustrate where we are. So still at 80%, less than half of our football teams are at that number. Months ago, our medical task force identified 85% as a threshold for what I'm going to say, quote, is herd immunity, where you could have a little bit more relaxed overall policies. we're relooking at that. I think we're going to recalibrate. The message is everybody access the vaccine. You've gone through off-season workouts, you've gone through spring practice, summer workouts, preseason practice. You're going to come to kickoff, finish the drill, access the vaccine fully to give yourself the best chance to play a full season of college football. You know, speaking of college baseball a moment ago, I don't want to see what happened to North Carolina State replicated over and over. And we've not built in space within our schedule to make up games like we did last year. And so the message is get healthy and be healthy. And where I think we'll be is if you're vaccinated, we'll have some relaxed protocols around testing and potentially masking, although with what's happening with COVID right now, it's really troubling. And the vaccine helps us limit the spread, prevents really serious illness, and can help us continue back to normal. And that's the message, and our teams are going to be in close proximity. So access the vaccine, whether you're a student athlete, a coach, a staff member, an official, or a fan.
And I guess it goes without saying, but I'll ask anyway, when you look at the maps and you watch the news and you see the footprint of where it's at in our country, it's basically the conference map. So that's got to be fairly concerning to you as the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference.
It is, and we saw waves last year, and it took about 3 or 4 weeks, and then things changed. So we're going to have to be patient, but we don't have to just sit still. And we've had 6 weeks now to kick off, and let's use that time to put ourselves in the best possible position. And, hey, the vaccine's not perfect, but nothing in life is perfect. I mean, that's reality. But it is a product of incredible science, and it does prevent the most serious illness. It limits the spread, and in fact, it limits contracting COVID based on the information I've seen. So, hey, it's not perfect, but it gives us the best possible chance to play football and to enjoy football as fans without disruption.
Commissioner Sankey, we appreciate your time this morning. Can we count on your attendance second weekend of September for Arkansas, Texas?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Have been for a long time, regardless of what else is going on around me.
I appreciate it, sir. That is Commissioner Sankey of the SEC. A lot to react to from his comments here on the Morning Rush.